It's Tuesday, August 27th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. And it's the last gardening day of August. The godfather of gardening, Ross Travers, is my guest. We're going to talk harvesting, the best bulbs to plant in fall. Plus, we'll take your questions, give some tips. The lines are open. And when I say the lines are open, I'll give the numbers out: 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. The text line, 709-327-8206. The Signal at cbc.ca for emails. And I'm personing the text line today, so and plus emails. So I will get to them as they come in, and I'll remind myself through the show. But if you really want to guarantee access, give us a call. Ross, how you doing?
I'm good.
How's late summer going?
How's the garden growing?
Yeah, how's the garden growing in late summer?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
Yeah. Finally got enough rain to keep things going, and the corn is almost ripe now. Another week, and it'll be some varieties will be ripe because there's lots of different varieties of corn.
Yeah.
And some of the early varieties will be ripe in another week or so.
So which variety do you find works really well for like metro area?
Well, any of the early varieties, there's one called Espresso available from Vessey's. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's one called Trinity, which is an real early variety. It's probably a week earlier than the other ones.
Okay, right on. So I'll say I was going to, my parents were in town this past weekend, right? So they came in from Collins Harbour, and they brought a bag of grown goodies from their garden, right? So it was like carrots, beet, a bunch of cucumbers, some potatoes. The potatoes are on the small side because they're still building up their soil. But they have been, so since they retired, they started gardening a couple of years ago, and they've been listening to this show. And I'm just saying, and Mom and Dad, you're not allowed to call in. Nate is Wells is tech in the show today. Do not answer a call from my parents, Nate. But I just say, without their input, they've learned so much that they're growing bounties out there thanks to the tips from the show.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always something new to learn when it comes to gardening.
Always. Well, like that's what I've been learning over the last couple of years, right? You know,
right.
It's like, and you sometimes, like for myself and my wife, we're starting small with a little herb garden out on a patio, growing some perilla leaves and that kind of a thing. The next year, we're going to expand a little bit, right? You just,
sure.
you step into it, get things growing even more.
That's right. And in my case now, cutting back because it's only the two of us in the house, and well, how much can you eat?
Yeah, exactly, right? You don't need stuff coming out of your ears, right? So it's just, being choosy. So what is, like, on top of corn, right? You mentioned the corn. What other, for both of you, what is it that you enjoy, even though you've cut back on it, but like what's the targeted stuff you're growing for you guys eating?
Well, of course, potatoes is a standard one because they're easy to grow anyway, and I grew a lot too much last year, so this year cut in half. And the storable vegetables like carrot and beet and parsnip and that sort of thing. These are good crops to grow because they're storable.
Yeah.
And the problem is like something like spinach, for instance. Well, you can only use it for a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for some now you can freeze it, of course. But what we find is that a lot of the frozen vegetables don't really not as good as when you can buy it fresh.
Yeah, like sometimes with turnip greens we'll like blanch them a bit and just have through the winter. But like yes, there's no replacement, right? Yeah. Fresh there, like it's just so good.
That's right, and. Something like green beans now I've been growing for a number of years, and we've been doing them up in as a preserve, as a pickled bean. It's marinated or put in bottles and use a brine solution and
It's for your Sunday Caesars, is it?
And dills, dill pickle, dill weed,
Yeah.
Or the dill plant.
Yeah.
Is used for flavoring as well as garlic and pepper.
Right, a little clamato juice, some vodka, a couple of those pickled beans there, and you got yourself a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Excellent. There's texts and emails coming in. Before the show, I mentioned that I hadn't mowed my lawn in a while because it just ain't growing. We got this note in from Patricia here. Let me see. Question for your guest, for Ross. My lawn has really suffered with all the heat and dry weather this past month or so. Thinking about applying a fall fertilizer, which I haven't normally done. Would it help rejuvenate the lawn? If recommended, what formula should I look for? What's the best time to apply?
Okay. For a fertilizer this time of the year, is a good time to actually apply fertilizer this time of the year. But you do need, of course, water to make sure it's washed into the soil and leached into the soil. The formula that I've been recommending for a number of years now it's 15-5-15, and 15-5-15 with magnesium is a low phosphate fertilizer, so it doesn't acidify the soil like a high phosphate fertilizer, and it's good any time of the year. That's what we find.
Yeah, and I guess again, like if you're in the metro region, I'm just talking about the weather here today with a bit of rain coming down. That'll help the lawns, anyways, right?
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
But if the nutrients are not there now,
yeah.
then it's not going to perform as well as if it's there.
As if you put them in. Okay, so there you go. That's the answer for get that lawn back in shape, Patricia. We also have a text in. Here's one. I have a 5-foot row of parsley. How can I preserve it? What do you thoughts on preserving the ability to preserve a 5-foot row of parsley?
Well, you can dry it.
Yeah,
that's one of the simplest ways. You can also chop it up and freeze it in water. And some people like to put it in an ice cube tray.
Oh, yeah.
And fill the tray up with water. So you have a water saturated cube. And then you can use it then as you wish.
Pea soup ready. Just drop it in.
Just drop it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. I love that. Yeah, some folks do that as well with different herbs and stuff too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you should do a little investigation as to which herbs are hold their flavor or not, because something like basil, for instance, it's not going to hold its flavor when it's dry and that sort of thing. So it's not worth drying.
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, for me, basil, a little bit during the summer when it's available, and it's amazing. And then
that's right.
I forget about it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Like this sweet spot where we've got tomatoes growing locally. They've got really nice flavor. You get some basil in there.
Yeah.
It's just such a nice summer taste.
That's right. Yeah, and we try to eat in season.
Yeah.
What's available in season when it comes to fresh vegetables.
Yeah, like this time of year especially, it's such a nice time of year for eating. Like I find with all the fresh vegetables coming out, and like I said, the tomatoes, and then you have some chanterelles being harvested. There's a bunch going on.
That's right.
Yeah, which is really, really good. You are listening to The Signal. It is gardening day here on the show, as it is every Tuesday during the grow season, all the way up through October. This year we'll go to, I think the last show is probably the last Tuesday of October. So we've still got a lot of garden left to hoe here for the Signal. But for today, Ross Travers is my guest. If you want to call us, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Emails, thesignal@cbc.ca. Text us, 709-327-8206. And for the emails and texts, not complicated stuff. If it's a little complicated, give us a call, because sometimes we need to ask some follow-up questions in order to fully diagnose the grow situation. So there you go. So what are your plans through the end of summer now into fall anyways?
Well, of course, it's harvest time for many things.
Yep.
And then like I say, I'm going to cut back a lot on our vegetable garden, and so then I'll the areas that I normally would have vegetables, I'll put in what we call a green manure crop.
Okay. What's that?
Well, it's something like ryegrass,
Yeah.
annual ryegrass, or some of the clovers. They're seeded this time of the year, and they come up in the fall, and they don't overwinter, which is so they don't create a weed problem. But they do add organic matter and nutrients
to the soil. Hence green manure.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I call it green manure.
I love that. Oh, we got a follow-up question on parsley. How do you dry the parsley, by the way?
Oh, just simply hang it up in a dry place, and then you can crumple it up and then put it in an airtight jar.
Yeah. Fantastic. Dried parsley. Yeah, so you got your green manure going on there, and we got a couple calls coming. I'll just wait for them to get loaded into the system for Nathan, who is teching the show there today. Food-wise, what else are you enjoying eating from harvesting this time of year?
Of course, I mentioned the green beans and lettuce. I try to have several crops of lettuce during the summer, and the tomatoes outside are ripening up now. So there's a lovely little variety called Red Alert, and it's the earliest one I've ever grown to ripen.
And where do you, and remind me, because we've talked about this a couple of years now in a row, Red Alert for tomatoes, and where do folks order the seeds from those?
From Vessey's.
From Vessey's.
They say it's a hybrid, but it's not really a hybrid, and you can save the seed. So if you start off with the seed you buy, then you can save the seed when you harvest the fruit and still use the fruit.
There you go. And so if anyone's thinking, you know what, next season, it's time for tomatoes, Red Alert.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fairly easy to remember.
Yeah.
Red Alert. I mean, that's a great name. We got someone on the line from Mount Pearl. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are things?
Pretty good, thank you. I have a question. I have a red currant plant or tree, I guess, and it's been blossoming every year and putting out lots of red currants.
Yes.
But this year, I see that there's insects, I guess, have gotten into the branches and have eaten them, and so now it's just the mostly bare branches there.
Yes.
And I didn't get very many red currants this year. So I'm wondering what I should spray that with to try to get lots of red currants again next year.
Yes, well, it's probably too late to spray now because they've already done the damage. And but it won't kill the red currants. You'll probably see the buds for next year that'll produce the leaves and fruit next year. You'll probably see them there now. So that should be fine. Next spring, keep a very close eye on it, and as soon as you see any damage, then you might have to spray.
Yeah, I didn't really look at it because it wasn't like it was in the country, and I didn't really look at it because it wasn't close, really close to my cabin.
Okay.
So when I went to check on it this year a few weeks ago, that's what I discovered. So what would I spray it with?
Well, there's a number of sprays that you can use, but insecticidal soap will probably not do the job for you if you're in the country where you have to be the timing has to be right. But the same with another one called BT. It's an organic insecticide, but you have to. It has to come in contact with the insect, so. You have to be there when the insect is just starting.
Okay, now I didn't see any insects on it this week when I was checking it.
No, they're probably pupated now, which means that they've gone into a cocoon stage, and then they'll.
Okay. So where would I find that organic insecticide?
Any of the garden supply centers, would have it.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll check that first thing. Then next spring, I have to keep a better eye on it.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to set up, set up some kind of, I don't know, camera or whatever. But yeah, monitor the thing and maybe take an extra visit out to the country to be there for when.
Good excuse to get out.
Yeah, right. Hey, sorry, I can't make it to the potluck this Friday. I've got a plant that I need to tend. I mean, that's a great excuse if you are not an extrovert. That is. Here's a question. Hi there. I planted garlic for the first time last fall. I have been harvesting garlic scapes throughout the summer, but wondering when's the best time to harvest the garlic? How do you know when it's ready?
Well, as soon as about 1/3 of the lower leaves should be turning brown and drying up, and that's usually about the time when you harvest it. It's probably might be past the optimum stage for harvesting, but I'd say harvest it now.
Yeah, get it out of the ground.
Yeah,
yeah,
and leave the stalks on. Put them in a dry place, and let them dry up real nice, and then remove the stalks afterwards, and store it in a real dry atmosphere.
You got your garlic all harvested now, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much?
Oh, I must have 10 pounds, probably.
Okay. How long will that do you for?
That'll do us for most of the season,
Oh, okay.
Most of the winter.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Right. So how often do you cook with garlic? I mean, for us, it's all the time, right, in my house?
Well, there's hardly a day goes by that we don't use at least one little clove or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I find it funny when it's just like it'll call for like just a single clove in a recipe. I'm like, oh no, I mean,
no,
come on.
I can't even taste that.
Like that's not garlic. I'm just like chop it up multiple cloves. I'm like, here we go. This is better. Yeah. Right. It is, just the smell of garlic. It is so nice.
It's interesting because I don't think my mother ever knew about garlic or ever used it.
Yeah.
I mean, the only spices that I remember cooking like vegetables or meat and that was salt and pepper and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, hence the reaction to some spice here in the province sometimes, right? It's just like any bit of spice, and folks can be sweating because if you don't grow up with it, like.
Yeah.
What was it? My wife and I, we went to a spot in South Korea there the other year, and there's a show on Netflix called Chef's Table, right? So one of the chefs is at this Buddhist, she's a Buddhist monk, and so we went to visit this spot in South Korea, and in the diet there for Buddhists, they don't eat garlic, and in Korea it's really interesting because there's so much garlic in Korean food, but at this spot there was no garlic. There's a few other things on the list, yeah, and they're all and it was. Vegan, no garlic, but still, I mean, the food we had for lunch was fantastic, but still it was, I just found that really interesting, especially in South Korea where there's garlic in all the other dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting stuff. We've got another text. So, folks, it's Gardening Day here on The Signal. Ross Travers is my guest. The numbers to call, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206. Emails thesignal@cbc.ca. So staying with the theme of how to know when to pull stuff up, a text just came in. So we're just talking about garlic. What about beets? When should they be harvested?
Well, the smaller beets, of course, are best for pickling and that sort of thing. Larger ones can get a bit tough, but they're still good. You can, when they're even 4 inches in diameter, they're still no problem. And the other interesting thing about beetroot is that it stores well.
Yeah.
It'll keep right up until spring in a cool cellar or a dry, a cool place where you'd store potatoes and that.
Yeah. So what are you looking for to really fully appreciate that the beet can be harvested?
Oh, inch.
Yeah.
1 inch in diameter.
Right.
Would be quite good, and you can use some of the greens with it. The leaves are excellent as well.
Yeah, they're really nice. I really like, we've talked about this on the show before too, like when it comes to beet, just grilled in the oven, so nice.
Roasted, yes. Roasted beet work out, or is great for a side dish.
Yeah, and you get or beet, carrot, parsnip, kind of all together for like a bit of a roast in the oven, and then you can put some like honey on top of it. It's,
for many of us, we grew up just simply with pickled beets,
Oh, that was like for me. That's what we were eating for the longest while. And I still love pickled beets. Right, Sunday dinner pickled beets, amazing.
Yeah.
For folks who are planting, so we're talking about harvesting, right? What kind of fall planting should people be thinking about? Because we're talking about lawn success because of the dryness that we've had. We're talking about harvesting, but what should folks be thinking about for fall planting? I'm thinking like bulbs and that kind of stuff for like the year ahead.
Yes, well, the bulbs are available now, or if not, they will be in a few weeks' time. And a lot of the bulbs that you see in the garden centers are imported from the Netherlands or from Holland. And the Dutch bulbs, when you're buying them, try and get the biggest ones you can, because the flower is already formed in these bulbs when you buy them. And so it's important to have the larger ones so you get the best flowers. And that.
Yeah. What, for a beginner's thought on it, if someone's not done anything with bulbs before, what's a nice entry point into it, doing something this fall and just having just a nice, this is a good start for spring?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with crocus.
Yeah.
The little ones that come up real early, give you a nice color. Crocus, daffodils, of course, is a long-lived bulb compared to tulips, which are shorter-lived in many cases.
Yeah, I'm thinking against some crocuses this soon.
And you can take the crocuses and make a little hole and put them in a lawn situation, so they come up when the grass is coming up.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do, right? Because sometimes springtime when things don't look the best, to have some crocuses popping up on your lawn.
That's right.
Perfect, right? Yeah. It gives you that some kind of a spring feeling, even if the weather is not quite there yet.
Yeah. Another, it's not really a bulb. It's a perennial root. Is daylilies. Daylilies are a very long-lived perennial. It can be used as ground cover. Can be put into a bank. And they bloom there are varieties now that bloom for a long period of time, and so in the summer. And so daylilies are a good investment for a permanent ground cover.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me see. We've got some more text coming in here today. Follow-up question on the garlic file for today. A follow-up question is, should you plant garlic in the same place as the previous year, or should you rotate where you plant it?
It's always best to rotate most crops if you can. So it's not a good idea to be planting them in the same location because of any buildup of disease.
Yeah,
might be a problem.
Yeah, so just for all your crops, just think of the rotation that way.
Yeah, and the some crops require more nutrients than others, and so it's best to have a new location.
Hi guys, great program. This is a text, not just me saying it. I plan to harvest my garlic soon. What's the best way to keep garlic during the winter? So you talked about take it out whole, and dry it, right? And
dry it, and store in a brown paper bag or similar. You don't want it in plastic or in a jar or anything like that. Now, of course, if you want to, you can grind the garlic and preserve it in oil or some other means of preserving. But I think the best way is to have a cool, almost freezing dry place that you can store it in a paper bag.
Yeah, right. So, let me see. Let's say you're harvesting your garlic, or you just harvested. So you take out stalk and all, you put it somewhere dry. You're drying it out. Then you break it off or whatever, and then
just cut off the stalk.
You cut off the stalk.
Don't separate the cloves.
No, keep all that together in one little
bulb.
Yeah, bulb of, I was going to say like softball of garlic. It's a bulb of garlic. Brown paper bag it, put it in for over like into the season now, the fall through winter, keep it somewhere cool. So for example, in my house, we've got a, under the front entrance where like the water kind of comes in, it's under the stairs essentially, and it's pretty chill in there.
Okay.
So that would be like a nice little spot, right? Because it's actually dry, but it's it can get pretty cool in there as well.
Right.
So that means similar in theory, I guess, to a root cellar type of a thing. Here's another question coming in. I have a snowball tree that has been eaten this year. What can I use to spray the tree?
Big problem. This is an insect that was introduced, probably 5 or 6 years ago or even longer. It's called the viburnum leaf beetle. And it's a little insect that feeds at all different stages of its life cycle.
Oh, fantastic!
So
Wow.
And in fact, it lays its eggs in the branches of the viburnum, or the snowball.
Snowball, yeah.
And it will actually kill the branches in that. So one thing you can do is, as far as organic spray, is a spray with what we call dormant oil in the spring.
Okay.
Or early, before the leaves come out, before the buds break, spray it with dormant oil, and that will kill any eggs and any insects that are going to emerge.
So now if they go to a garden center and they say, hey, I need some dormant oil, they'll know what they're talking about, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So dormant oil. And so when did you say it was introduced?
Probably it was 20 years ago or more.
Yeah, or more. Wow.
And it's a very destructive insect, and it started in this area probably with all the imported shrubs that were being brought in to Newfoundland.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it kept moving west. Like I've seen it out around Glovertown and that now. Mm-hmm. And it's in the wild viburnum, which is the wild raisin squashberry, which is a really destructive on squashberry, and I'm afraid that it might kill a lot of the squashberry, which is a fruit that's traditionally been harvested for jelly. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's all most of the members of the genus of viburnum is susceptible to it.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. We've got Terry on the line from Gould's. Oh, we just dropped him. We'll try to get Terry back. Other than that, I've got I believe I've got another. I'll check for some text. You're listening to this as I read through the text line and the email line here today. Oh, we got an email coming in. I'm Adam Walsh. This is The Signal. Horticulturist Ross Travers is my guest for Gardening Day today. It's a day for good chives only, as we've been saying, or as I say. The numbers to call 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206. The Signal at cbc.ca. Here's an email from Elizabeth. Hi. I have topped and removed all suckers from my tomato plants, but I'm wondering about the flowers. Should they be removed now as well, or should I live in hope of enough time for fruit to form?
Okay, I'm assuming this is in a greenhouse. If it's in a greenhouse, then if you have what we call indeterminate plants, in other words, plants that will form a stalk as you prune them, then you need to probably wait another week or so and then take off any flowers, because those flowers are not going to produce fruit that's going to ripen up.
Yeah.
So then all the energy from the plant will go into the fruit that's already there.
And if it's not in a greenhouse?
Well, the same principle applies. But you do, so I would, if it's an indeterminate plant, then, or if it's a determinate plant, a determinate one means it grows as a bush.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bush tomatoes, I'd remove the flowers now, yeah.
Okay, so outside, yeah. Greenhouse, you get another week. Outside, remove the flowers now. And Elizabeth, yeah, if you have any follow-up questions or if you want to give us a call, you can email the follow-up question, obviously, thesignal@cbc.ca, or call us, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Let's go to Carbonear now. We've got Neil on the line. Hi.
Good day, Ross. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you mentioned there just in about the high bush cranberry, squashberry.
Yes.
And if I burn them, there's not one in this area to be seen. There's not a high bush cranberry anywhere to be seen.
There's not.
No.
All dead.
No. And that beetle devoured my snowball.
Yes.
And I guess then it moved on. They moved on to the high bush cranberries. But we used to pick them. They weren't real pop, but we always picked them because the older people, mother and grandmother, they used to make jelly. See?
They make jelly. That's right. Yes.
And I went to the places now where we used to pick them, and there's not a sign.
Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, they're totally devastated. There's a late friend of mine used to pick them on the railway track out this way, and he pick them, pick a gallon or so, and every year it came down to a quart, and it came down to a cup, and the last couple of years another thing. It's amazing. You go up the trees, they're gone. They're totally devoured.
Yes.
That's
yes, a very destructive insect. And now it is possible to spray an insecticide if you have one or two plants in your garden. You can you can spray with ambush or an insecticide that contains pyrethrin. But it's almost a losing battle.
Yeah. What about BTK?
The timing got to be right, and that's the problem with getting the timing right.
Yeah, and you haven't got time to go watching it every day for things to happen, right?
That's right.
Now, there are a few snowball trees in this area that must be resistant. I don't know if there's any resistant varieties, but I've seen one, and it was amazing, and it was hardly a blemish on it, about 4 feet high. I guess there could be. I don't know if there's a genetic variant or anything that
that's interesting because I've noticed some of the viburnums are not affected as much as others. So
that's right.
It could be some resistance there.
Could be some. Yes, really could have been. For some reason something happened anyway, and whenever they were breeding them or whatever. But yeah, I've seen a few around. Yeah, another tree who seems to be hitting is the hawthorn or the whitethorn. Now they're not that popular, but some of those don't look very good this year either. I don't know if you're familiar. Do you have any hawthorns in around your way?
I don't have any in my own garden, but I know I'm familiar with the plant. And I'm not sure what the insect is. I'd have to get. You'd have to get it identified. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of these are old age too. I mean, I know a property here in the town here that's over 100 years old.
Okay.
Actually, it's your switchboard there, guy. Nathan's grandfather's tree. And,
only in Newfoundland does this kind of a connection happen.
But anyway, that tree's still good, and that tree was a mature tree almost 100 years ago, according to some of the locals, right?
Right.
So I mean, that seems to be doing quite well, and they pruned it out well. It seems to be quite resistant. But I've known people that bought them, and they grow for 5 or 6 years, and they turn ugly looking. They try to fertilize them and everything else. So I don't know if the new variety is what's suffering the old variety got a resistance. I don't know, but it seems there's a few in some of the cemeteries in here in the church gardens. They seem to be doing okay.
Yes.
But the ones that are 10 to 12 feet high, I guess I don't know. Maybe they lucked out to something somewhere. it anyway.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
I just wanted
Well,
to.
I really appreciate the information on the viburnum leaf beetle. Leaf beetle.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it's unfortunate, boys. It really is, because the younger people now, they don't know what a squashberry is because they haven't seen one, right?
No.
Right? They know what a blueberry is, but they don't know what a squashberry is, right?
Not so appetizing raw.
No.
But when they're made into a jelly, a beautiful aromatic jelly. Yeah.
Yes, very smooth. Yeah, people don't like because there's a big white seed in them.
That's right, and a flat seed.
Right. A flat seed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it gets caught in your teeth. Anyway, all right, okay. Anyway, all the best to you now.
Thanks,
Okay,
Neil.
thanks.
And I'll call in again next week if I'm around for another update.
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, all right. All the best now.
Cheers,
All right.
everybody. All right, Neil O'Grady, they're calling it for Carbonare. Yeah, shocking, right? Like you get that kind of destruction going on by an invasive species.
Yeah, and because it's in the wild viburnums,
Yeah.
then there's no way of controlling it really.
No. Right.
I mean, to control the spread.
Yeah, no, it seems to be gone. Eh? All right, we got. Oh my gosh, let's go to. We got Joe on the line from Bay Roberts.
Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to hear Ross Travers on today.
Yes.
How you doing, Ross?
Good.
Okay. Listen, we've been growing corn the last few years,
Yes.
and we've had fair success with it, right?
Yes.
I just wonder, you got any suggestions to offer us about how to get your corn to fill all the way out to the top of the cob?
Most varieties don't do that, and although there are some varieties, it's a variety thing. But because of our season, our relatively short season, we don't get the pollination. So you got to get the pollination from the tassel that's on the top of the corn, and it should be corn should be planted in a block, a square block. So
yes, we do that, yes.
Yeah, so
I just wonder if I've been planting my corn a little too close together.
that won't affect the pollination.
No, I see.
No,
Oh.
but it would affect the yield, of course. Usually about a foot apart.
Yeah, that's what I do, about a foot apart, yeah.
Yeah.
And we sat them in the house somewhere around the 27th of March, I think.
That's a bit early. But I usually around the middle of April.
Oh, okay.
And I grow them in cell packs so that you have a nice root ball when you pop them out of the cell pack.
Oh, that's right. You need that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is that with corn is to side dress them or have some, especially nitrogen fertilizer around them in the middle of the summer, so that because they're very heavy feeders. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so nice to hear you talk about that because I know about it myself. And one other person in Ontario that's been growing corn, and he's got the same problem also, get the corn to fill all the way out.
Right.
Way back there, about 25 years ago, in Bay Roberts, when we lived in Bay Roberts, there was an old lady down Bay Roberts East. Her name was Olive, and Olive comes from Ontario. She said, you can grow corn if you want to. So upon her suggestion, I got some corn seed and I put it in, and I was able to grow about 10 to 15 stalks of corn, right?
Yes.
And they did fine for a little while. Finally, I ended up with only 2.
Yes.
And they kept growing, and they formed the cob on the side and so on. It looked so good, so hopeful, so encouraging. And then suddenly, the corn that was growing on the side kind of folded over and died, and the plant died. I cut the corn open, and guess what I found? in the middle of that one corn stalk in Bay Roberts,
What?
I found a corn borer.
Yes.
So somewhere in the world, this fly came and landed on my one corn stalk that was left and killed it.
That's amazing. The same thing with the corn earworm. I don't know if you have a problem with corn earworm, but the corn earworm gets in the top of the corn cob and feeds on the kernels. And the corn earworm is, according to the entomologists, they don't overwinter in Newfoundland.
No. So where do they come from? All of a sudden, now we find that we've got corn growing.
They said it comes in on a jet stream or something like that.
Interesting. So interesting phenomenon. Anyway, the last 2 years when we've been growing corn, we haven't had any trouble with the corn borer or anything.
Okay,
but
good.
Our corn isn't really filling out all the way up, and I thought I'd call to see what you would think of it, right?
Right, yeah. It's a pollination problem, but
I guess so.
and probably has to do with the length of the growing season.
Yes, I think so, yeah. So thanks very much. So nice to listen to you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Joe. All right,
All
Joe.
the best.
Joe calling there from Bay Roberts. We got about 15 minutes left to the show. It is gardening day. I'm Adam Walsh. This is The Signal. Ross Travers is my guest. If you want to call us, 709-722-7111, 1-800-563-8255. Text us, 709-327-8206. Email us, thesignal@cbc.ca. Oh, gosh, there's a few texts. Let me run through a couple of them. My new small lilac bush had yellow spots. Now it is all dry brown leaves. Will it come back next spring?
Well, you'd have to look at it and see if there's any new buds formed for next year. If there's no fresh buds formed for next year and the branches are dry and brown, then I'm afraid that's the end of that lilac.
But we're coming up to the time of year where you can plant a new one, right?
Yes.
So, the circle of life.
Yeah.
We got Terry Petalback on the line from Gould's. Hi, Terry.
How's it going, Adam?
Good, boy. Good. What are you at?
Listening to you guys and getting a great kick out of it all.
There you go. Hey, that's what I like to hear. Thoughts or questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a question for Ross.
Yes.
How's it going, Ross?
I'm doing good, yeah.
That's good, yeah. I just wondered, how long would it be safe for me to leave my onions in the ground this fall before we have to harvest them?
Well, when the stalks dry up. When there's no green on the stalks, then harvest them.
You're not worried about a little bit of frost on them?
Yes.
So what, how much frost could they tolerate?
Just a light frost, 1 or 2 light frosts is okay. It's not going to damage them probably, but if the stalks are dried up, then I would harvest them right away.
Yeah, typically speaking, I've been sort of trying to harvest them fairly early when the stalks are quite green. Actually, it makes it a bit tough to sort of buckle them up, which is what you use to dry them, And
yes.
What I'm concerned about is that if there's any frost, even a little bit of frost, would that affect the winter storage?
Yes, it would. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you were a betting man, what time would you say you'd be safe to? Do you think it'd be safe to leave them sort of till Thanksgiving weekend in October?
In October, yes, middle of October.
Be safe that long?
Yeah. If you get a light frost and you don't have too big an area, you could always put something over them.
Yeah. The issue I have, of course, the reason I'm concerned is because I'm heading out to go moose hunting, and I'm going to be gone for a while, and.
That's right, and you need your onions when you come back with the moose.
Yeah, you can't mess around with that.
Exactly. There's no question about it. Yeah. Ross, years ago, I was out in Newfoundland shooting some seals, and I called the gardening show, and Ramona was on the show then.
Yes.
And I asked you if I'd like to have a meal of flippers. Anyway, I dropped flippers off to you. You told me all the crowd in there at the CBC got quite a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Good to hear you on the radio again, Ross.
Okay, thanks.
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Thanks,
bye.
Terry.
Thanks.
Oh, I love that. You know, flippers being. Actually, was it the other year I had sea urchin delivered here? But so the big box comes in, and I was like bringing it into the staff kitchen, and people are like, "What do you got?" I'm like, "It's for," because I couldn't get the delivery at home, right? So it's you never know what's being brought to the door of the CBC. Okay, I've been neglecting. There's a bunch of texts and some emails, so let's see if we can. All right, we did our unfortunate lilac news. Earlier text was from Don from Salmon Cove. Don, thanks for that text. We store our garlic in large baskets under the bed in our guest room, and not once have we had a problem with vampires. There's another text. That's pretty good, right? As long as you don't invite them into your house, apparently you're okay. All right, I have carrots under row cover to protect them from the carrot fly. Can I remove it now?
I would say yes, but yes.
Yeah. We're safe now.
They're pretty well past their life cycle now, where they're going to cause damage.
We have a 15-year-old red Japanese maple. Some years ago, we needed to move it, and ever since the move, the leaves have been green, not red. Is there anything to be done?
Probably not, because it's a graft. Must have been a grafted maple. And if it's all green now, then it's growing below the graft, which was the rootstock, which was a green maple.
Oh, right.
And so, if there's any red branches, a branch with red leaves on it, then cut off all the green ones, and let it grow as the red one.
All right. We got another caller here now. David Moores is on the line. Hi, David. How you doing?
Good day, everybody. I got to talk about a lawn. I have these little circular patches, dark circular patches, dying circular patches of varying sizes in my lawn. And the guy that I pay to come around and spray stuff on my lawn says, that might be the chinch bug. And I can't help you because the stuff that kills the chinch bug, I'm not allowed to use. So what do I do? Or do I do? Is that correct? Is there anything to do with the chinch bug? Is that likely the chinch bug, those little dead round circles in my lawn?
Chances are it's a problem with chinch bug, yes. Some of the organic materials like insecticidal soap and that might help, but the other thing is you have to saturate the lawn with water, especially the areas that are on the right around the circle, because the chinch bug is not going to develop so good if the lawn is wet.
Okay, and I'm allowed to water my lawn a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
I suppose I can go out and stand over it every day for a half an hour with a hose, I suppose. I'm allowed to do that.
That sounds like a good activity for you, David.
Yeah.
No, I'm right on that. But there's several of these patches around the lawn now, and they're starting to spread out of it. And I'm wondering if it's beyond repair. Is it? Could I go around and dig up some of this stuff, throw it away, bring in new, or will I still be stuck with bugs in the dirt somewhere, or what?
Well, the life cycle, of course, is such that they really thrive when the soil is dry.
Okay.
And they'll any time when you got dry conditions, there's a good chance of getting chinch bug feeding on the grass.
Okay, so if they're in the lawn and they seem to be migrating a little bit around, I mean, what, I got to drown the whole lawn and hope that does it? Or there's no remedial action other than, I suppose, throw the lawn away?
Or look at alternatives to a lawn.
Well,
if you're not
that involves a conversation with somebody else.
Because if you're not if you're not using the lawn for playing on,
yeah,
or the children aren't using it for any purpose, then look at alternatives. There's some real interesting alternatives to the grass. There's a company called, and you can Google it, called West Coast Seeds. And West Coast Seeds have a catalog and information on their website about alternatives to lawns. And these are Like there's a variety of clover, for instance, that's a miniature clover that you hardly have to mow and stays green all summer.
That sounds wonderful. Next best thing to moss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the only answer is try to drown the little blighters.
Yeah. And
Okay.
And then
Drown them and consider clover.
or other alternatives.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a beautiful green area with daylilies. For instance, I mentioned it there just now.
Yeah.
With daylilies that are as permanent and they'll last a lifetime.
Okay, well, one last little question. If I was to decide I wanted to dig up some of these little patches and throw them away and put in another sod or anything, do you think that would solve it, or are they in the
No,
dirt,
it's not going to solve it because it depends on the weather conditions the next year. If it's dry weather again the next year, chances are you'll get chinch bug.
Okay. Well, thanks for the bad news.
Okay.
Happy to help, David.
Okay. Bye-bye.
My condolences. See you, buddy. All right, David Moore is there. Thanks for the call, and sorry about your lawn. We only got a couple minutes left. We'll try to work through as many texts and emails as we can. This is from Gail. Would like to cut back my rhododendron and hopefully share a section with a friend. When and how should this be done?
Okay. Well, with cutting back rhododendrons, you have to inspect the branch, and if there's dormant buds, these are little buds that are on the stem, then you can cut down to where the dormant buds are, and they'll develop as branches. So you're not going to kill the rhododendron. If there's no dormant buds, if it's just a woody stem with no buds at all, then if you cut down below that, you're going to lose that branch. So as far as making new rhododendron for a friend, the best way to do it is to what we call layering the branch. By layering the branch, you scrape off a little bit of the bottom bark on the branch. Don't separate it from the rest from the mother plant, and then pin it to the ground. Put some soil on top of that, and that branch will develop roots. And then next year you can transplant it then into the permanent, separate it from the mother plant and transplant it to wherever.
All right. Can I use organic garlic from the grocery store to plant this fall?
Yes, if it's real organic garlic, then it's not treated with a chemical or whatever to keep it from sprouting.
This person says they're not sure where to buy local garlic in the Torbay area. Where can you buy garlic around Torbay?
Well, it's available now probably in most of the garden centers around the area.
Yeah. And I mean, exactly. So any garden center will have local garlic right around now.
Yeah.
And do you have to rotate herbs such as chives, thyme, and sage?
No, some of them are perennial.
Yeah.
So they're not rotated.
So you don't rotate them because they're perennial. Yeah. Perfect. All right, we got like a minute left. Let me see. I have apple maggot in my apples. What can I do to get rid of it?
Ooh. I've never seen apple maggot in Newfoundland.
Oh.
But it's possible.
All right.
But you're not going to get rid of it now.
No, too late now.
Once it's in the first of all, get the insect identified, exactly what it is.
Okay. Where do you go for that?
Garden centers can probably help you.
Yeah.
And the botanical garden would be a good choice.
Yeah, talk to them and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it too late to spread clover seed to amend the soil in an apple orchard? That's from Valerie.
No.
All right. Let me see. All right, I'm going to bring this right up to the clock, to the danger line of getting cut off. Let me see. Please ask Ross about the need to dry the onions.
The need to dry it?
Yeah, to dry onions.
Yeah, it has to be dried because, of course, they'll eventually start to rot if they're not dried.
All right, and we've got 30 seconds. This person wants encouragement. I'm picking garlic, cucumbers, zucchini, onions, peas, and all kinds of good veggies, potatoes, carrots, and beets in a few more weeks. Question for Ross. My pumpkins are only as big as a golf ball. How can I get them to grow bigger?
Well, water.
Water,
more water.
Yep. All right, we're done. Thanks for this.
Okay.
All right, I think we got to everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Tomorrow, we're getting a jump on the school year, a chat about the year ahead with the folks from the NL Federation of School Councils. We will hear some of the issues on their radar and thoughts about what to do about them. Parents, do you have any concerns about the coming school year and thoughts about how to solve these concerns? Get in touch. This signal at cbc.ca. And parents, the lines will be open for you tomorrow, so give us a shout. Cheers.